Frank with PerTronix Performance Products. We want to welcome you to SEMA 360. All right, first on our list of new products that I'd like to share with you guys is our wire strippers. Now, I know all of us have dealt with those really cheesy strippers that are thin, and you start to strip a wire and man, the blade goes dull and you end up starting to strip it and it cuts it, or they're just not great tools. Well, we decided, since we do ignition parts, we wanted to offer a wire stripper that was a better quality. So if you check this thing out, you've got to look at it. I mean, this thing is stout. This is like a real professional tool, and you want this in your toolbox at home. I'll let you know right now, after this filming's over, this is all going into my garage. So take a look at that. You can see it's a nice, thick, stout unit, and it's got teeth and a grab handle here. So when you go to strip your wire, this is obviously an igniter unit. You'll slide it in there and decide, okay, you know what? I want about an inch off the end. And you just start to pull it, and it cuts it and slides it right off for the perfect wire strip right there. Definitely worth having in your toolbox. So another tool that kind of goes hand in hand with our wire stripper is our wire cutter. All right. Now, kind of does look like a cigar cutter too, but it's not. This is specific for your wires. So the nice thing is it's got a little safety here. We don't want you to hurt yourself, and we don't want you to cut your fingers off or do something silly like I usually do. But this is a really nice cutter. Now, how many of you guys have, again, the lesser expensive tools have a really thin blade? If you can take a look at this, this is a nice thick blade. You're not going to have that issue where you cut a wire, and I know you've done this. You've cut that wire and you fight with it and you pull it off, and you've got like 2 strands of wire sticking out. That's just frustrating. And you've got this beautiful hot rod or boat or whatever project you're working on. Nothing looks cheaper than bad wire connections. Being an ignition company, I just happen to have a spark plug wire here. I want to show you how easily our wire cutter cuts through this. So again, we release the safety. Don't stick our fingers in the jaws. And just give it a good little pull. And just take a look at how sharp that edge is. You've used those cutters where it kind of rounds it out, or you kind of got to pull on it to finish that cut. No, this does it just nice and easy. Not too bad. So again, really handy little tool, easy to fit in your hand, and very little effort. And I mean, this cuts it clean, and so you're not having to fight with it or anything. And always remember, put that safety back on. All right, the next tool we have is our open barrel crimping tool. Now, first chance when I saw this, I was pretty impressed with 2 things, and I'm going to share that with you right now. Again, we always reflect back on some of the other tools that we have in our toolbox, and a lot of them will open up just like a set of scissors. Well, it's not the greatest thing when you're trying to do a real nice, proper crimp. Take a look at that. The jaws, they open and they run parallel. Now, it might be a little hard to see, but it's incredibly cool, right? So that's going to give you that perfect crimp to that wire connection that the professionals have in there at the manufacturing level. So, and look at the thickness of these jaws. I mean, that's a really good quality jaw. So, if you've got a lot of wire, and I know if you stuck too much wire into one of those solderless connectors and you kind of push on them real hard and all of a sudden you see the jaws start to bend or kind of deflect one way or another, this isn't going to do it. I mean, this is a nice stout set. Again, it runs parallel. It just feels good. It's a good tool to have in your hand. Now you know why these are going to end up in my toolbox after the video shoot. And lastly, we've got the Delphi Weather Pack crimpers. And again, same thing. They open parallel. I mean, that in itself just blew my mind. It's such a nice quality piece. And they're also thick as well, so you're not going to get that deflection on them. And keep in mind, on those Weather Pack setups, we're all using them. They use a specific crimper. I've seen people use a standard barrel connector crimper to try to do the job. You've spent the money on the Weather Pack connectors. So get the right tool. Don't spend the money to have something nice and then use the wrong tool and end up with not such a good result. So again, great tool to have. So let's talk about a couple of the other things we have. Since we're talking right now about Weather Packs, we also sell the connector wiring kit. So this has all your Weather Pack connectors, all the small little crimping parts inside of it, as well as the tool to release it. Here we have our heat shrink terminal and closed end kit. This has solderless connectors in it, as well as your heat shrink tubing. And again, it's a large kit, has a lot of pieces in it. Having something like this in your garage saves you tons of money from having to run down to the local automotive shop to buy a little package of cheesy crimping solderless connectors. Here you've got it all in hand. And this, again, look how nicely that stacks. I mean, that's going to go so nice in your garage or your shop. So here we have our dual wall heat shrink tube set. So this is going to be 2 layers of heat shrink to go over any of your connections, whether you're putting a solderless connector on it or you're combining 2 wires together. This is going to give you 2 layers to help keep any water or corrosion away from that. And none of us want any of that in the wiring, because then we're going to spend days chasing these problems down. Use the right parts, get the right results, and look professional. We also offer the insulated terminal set. So this is going to have all your insulated terminals. Now I want to talk a little bit about this and our crimping tool, kind of stepping back a little bit. How many of us have taken some of these and put them on a wire, and you get your less expensive, less quality crimper, and you start crimping on it, and next thing you know, it puts a little divot and exposes the bare metal in there. Well, there goes the quality of that connection. So you can go back to our heat shrink tube and put a piece of heat shrink over it, but why not do it right? Get the right connectors. This is a full kit with all of the parts in it, and then use our tool to crimp it so that you don't tear through the insulation. All right, we also offer our open barrel kit, and it has all the solderless connectors for open barrel setups. Again, having a nice array of these is going to save you a lot of time. It's an inexpensive kit. You put it on your shelf, have it ready for when you're working on wiring, your buddy comes over, or a customer. Okay, here's one of my favorites. This is the solderless sleeve wire splices. Say that 3 times fast, right? So what this is, again, going back to wires, if you have 2 wires that you're putting together, you usually have to, twist them together, use a solderless connector, solder them is the best way to do it. Well, this little tool right here, or these parts, these are little ends, and you'll slide your wire in there, inside of it, and then heat it with a heat gun. And not only does it do a heat shrink, like your heat shrink tube for protection, but it also has solder in there. So now all of a sudden it's soldered as well. All done in one easy step. So no more soldering it. Oh no, I put too much solder. It's going to be too big for the heat shrink tube. This all does it and gives it a super clean setup. I'm telling you, with these things here, wiring up a car is going to be so much easier. It's not going to be that nightmare of, oh, I have to wire the car still. Now lastly, our non-insulated terminal set. Again, it's a really nice, small, compact setup, and it has a huge array of solderless connectors. Now these are uninsulated, and they'll work with our crimping tool as well. Guys, I really want to thank you for giving us a little time today and checking out our new products. I hope you found these products as nice as I have. And again, thanks for joining us at SEMA's 360.